we're entering into the fall months and we're still experiencing summer weather, but it's a transition period and my cooking is changing in the kitchen as I cook and eat seasonal foods. I've been hanging my laundry to dry all throughout the entire summer. And if I'm being 100% honest with you, my dryer broke down and I did buy a new one recently that we're gonna be installing soon. But I have learned a few things since hanging my laundry to dry. And one of those things is the absolute importance in separating your colors. Specifically, whites need to be separated from colors, and blacks or darks need to be completely separate as well. And the reason for this is that when you put your clothing into a dryer and you know all the lint that ends up in the lint trap, well, your lint doesn't necessarily get removed like that when you're hanging to dry. And so if you wash your blacks or darks with colors or even whites, your lint is going to be so visible on those black items. As well with your colors or your whites, it's the same thing. They can get muddled up and turn kind of a gray color. So it's really important to separate all of your colors. And one of the things I've told my daughter is make sure not to put any towels with your clothing because towels have so much lint on them and that will end up all over your clothes. So that's just a tip if you are hanging your clothes to dry or you want to start doing so. As we transition into fall, we are also in the transition on our farm where we are getting really deep into the harvest period. And so we're doing a lot of harvesting, which means that we're selling more than we typically have all throughout the entire summer. As I've been farming for the past 8 years, and even previous to that, I was getting into seasonal eating, and I've learned so much more about seasonal eating since growing my own food, having a garden, being a farmer, and also spending a lot of time doing deliveries to farm markets and grocery stores. And it's definitely opened my eyes to some of the truths and realities behind what you might think is local in your farm markets might not be local. And so there are some little tricks that are pulled and I've become aware of this, but as a shopper, I was not aware at all. I was very naive to it, but I know more now since spending a lot of time doing our deliveries. If you're new to my channel, my husband and I own an organic farm and we've been farming it for 8 years. And so this is a little sneak peek into our deliveries. We usually go for ice cream in a town over that has their own dairy farm. And so that's just the end of our week. And now I'm starting out here on a Saturday and I'm bringing home groceries. And no, I don't grow all of my own food. I'm not a homesteader. I do try to eat what we grow and eat locally. But more importantly, I like to eat seasonally. So I am making a corn chowder soup today with bacon. And this is one of the seasonal foods that I love. My mom always made this growing up. And right now, corn is in season, and we have a local farm on our delivery route that we stop by specifically to get corn that we know they are growing themselves. Now, I am not going to name any names, but there is a farm market very close to us that we deliver to that is well known for their corn. And what I've learned is that not all of their corn that they sell is actually theirs, which really shocked me. But being in the back delivering to them, I have seen all of the boxes and crates, and I can see the names and the places where all of their food is coming from. And it's not local. A lot of it's coming from the States, but it's being sold as their corn. As I'm putting my groceries away here, I'm realizing that I didn't buy any bacon for my soup, and I didn't take any bacon out of my freezer, which I do have some down there, but it's still frozen. And so I'm just realizing this as I'm about to make my soup. So I came up with a plan, which was I have some bacon grease in my fridge because I always save that. I'm going to cook my vegetables in that bacon grease to add the flavor. And then I'm going to go to the store and get some bacon while my soup is cooking. So anyways, back to the farmers markets. I've seen documentaries on TV about this where some people that own farmers market stands don't actually grow all of their own produce, especially if they're a bigger farmers market. And I've seen this to be true, especially during the off seasons. That's the time when they can't get their hands on a lot, and so they ship things in. But with that being said, definitely still support local. Another little tip that I have for you to get your hands on some locally grown produce, possibly organic, for a cheaper price and possibly larger quantity, is to go to your local farmers and ask if they have any second grade produce that they will sell you at a reduced price. Because believe me, there is a lot of waste on farms, food that just can't be sold because it's imperfect. We get a lot of 3 or 4-legged carrots, or just things that are overgrown, like cucumbers that are overgrown, things that are not the ideal size. And these are things that just can't be sold to our local grocery stores or farmers markets because they really want things to be an ideal size. And so we actually had our school system come to us because they have a food program, and they're buying all of our second grade produce that we can't sell to the stores, and they're using it for their meal programs. So that's just a little tip to keep in mind. My mom always had a garden growing up, but to be quite honest with you, I really didn't quite know the benefits or even how much more flavorful those foods were at that time in my life. I guess you could say, took it for granted and didn't really realize how much better that food was. This year, I didn't grow our family's big vegetable garden that I normally grow. I took a break, and I'm definitely going to be missing out on all of that produce and filling my freezer and my canning room. But it's going to give me time to clear out my canning room and use up the goods that I already have and work on emptying my freezers. And then next year, I'm definitely planning on growing my garden again and filling everything back up. And I think there's nothing wrong with shopping at the grocery stores and getting your hands on whatever you can. I just think that if you can source things locally and eat foods that are in season, it's just healthier and better for you, and you're gonna get the maximum nutrition and flavor available in those foods. With this corn chowder, I've made this a lot throughout my life because my mom grew up making this, and it's definitely a favorite, especially a seasonal favorite. And one of the things that I've discovered just through looking at different recipes for this soup is that adding the corn cobs directly into the soup while it's cooking will kind of take all of that milky goodness of the corn kernel out of the cob and into your soup. And so you're just gonna get the maximum flavor by adding those cobs that you've already shaved the corn off right into the soup with the rest of everything while it cooks. And then I'll remove them later on. And this just gives you the best flavor. But by no means is this soup something you can only make in season. You can definitely make it with frozen corn or even canned corn. Some of the things that we're harvesting right now on our farm is baby beets, because we grow beets for salad greens. So we don't have huge beets because they're grown so closely together. And so we have small beets that we can harvest, and they seem to be selling pretty well right now. So we're harvesting those. We also have a lot of cucumbers right now, peppers, tomatoes are coming on, and we have onions. My husband has been experimenting with some different crops because we're actually predominantly a salad greens farm, but because we don't want to travel further to expand our farm and make a better income, we need to diversify and grow more things. So we're experimenting with that this year. I'm covering up this soup and turning it to a low-medium heat because in my Dutch oven, I know it's going to be safe in there. I've cooked many soups in here and left it at that heat level for hours and hours while I've been out in the field. So I know I'm good to go, and I can just leave it for a couple of hours while I take off to the store. And I'm still putting some of my groceries away, so you know, grocery day is always kind of a big deal because you've got to clean out your fridge, put things away. The weekends can be a busy time. I'm heading off to our local mall, and this is where my library is, and I absolutely love the library. I love books. And one of my favorite sections is the cookbooks. So I usually try to pick up a couple of new cookbooks at a time and just look at them for inspiration and new ideas because, you know, as a homemaker, you can get really stuck and bored. And I love to see new recipes and come up with new ideas. And this Farmhouse Weekends book was one that I ended up taking home. And I've seen this one before and I've taken it home before, but I know there's some good ones in there. And it's always nice to try out some new recipes. And the other thing I love about the library is that it's free. So you can just test out different books, and if you find something you really, really love, you can buy it. And I've done that. I've found books that I just loved so much that I had to buy them. But it's great to be able to try things out. And now I'm going over to get my bacon, and I need some half and half cream, and then I'm headed back home. Along the way, I picked up my older son, and he comes over to have movie nights with me on the weekends. Sometimes it's Friday, sometimes it's Saturday, and today's a Saturday, and we're going to be enjoying a little movie night. And we're watching a new show. It's on Apple TV, and it's called Severance. And it's directed by Ben Stiller, who is a comedic actor. And it's not a comedy. It's actually kind of a mystery thriller type show, but it's also kind of a slow burn. But it has been really, really good, and we've kind of been addicted to it. So just as a little tip of something you might want to watch, it's been great. Entering into fall and school starting is a really big transition. And, you know, for us working folks, you know, summer is not as casual and dreamy as it was as a kid. And I think that's for most of us working parents or working people. Maybe teachers are the only ones that get the summer off. I'm not sure, but summer has just been nonstop work. But we have had time to enjoy going to the beach and spending a lot of time as a family. And so I'm grateful for that. And moving into school and fall, it's definitely a transition. Our leaves are not falling off of the trees just yet, but I am noticing a decrease in light hours, which I don't really like, and it is getting colder at night. So there's definitely signs of fall on the way, but we're still enjoying some really beautiful weather here. Now that we're headed into the cooler months, I'm definitely getting all the cozy feels with being able to cook soups and stews and all of the comfort foods that I like to cook. This is my thing. I'm not much of a summer cook. I've really struggled. I've mentioned that. But I'm really getting into my element, and there's so many comforting soup dishes that I want to try out and make, things that I make every year, and maybe even some newer recipes. So stick with me, and I'm definitely going to be making more of this kind of food. I topped this soup with some sour cream, chives, and bacon, and I also put half of the bacon into the soup. Let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on seasonal or local foods? And what are some of the things that are local to you that you enjoy every single year? For me, living in the Okanagan area of British Columbia, I definitely look forward to the stone fruits like peaches, cherries, and apricots. But definitely blueberries as well. We have a great local blueberry farm, and I've been enjoying those and having them with my homemade yogurt. So, so good. So there's the soup. It was absolutely delicious. Give it a try. The recipe's down below in my description. And thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I had a great time. And if you're new to my channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. I make new videos every single week. And I'll see you next time.